Hello, and welcome to this series of Roblox LUA scripting tutorials. In these tutorials, I'm going to explain the basics of Roblox LUA. So, Lua is the scripting language used in Roblox. Roblox is a platform to make your own games, but you probably already know that. So, this is the place where you're going to be scripting. This is called Roblox Studio, and you can download this from roblox.com. If you mind me, I'll actually show you how my Roblox Studio looks like right now, because yours probably looks like this, whereas mine looks like this. So, as you can see, on the left side we have a lot more windows, actually two, and then we have this here too. So, this is most likely how your Roblox Studio looks. So, let's just get started. What you see over here is the 3D window. This is pretty much where you can view your place like you would in game. Then here we have the Explorer, where everything in your game can be viewed. In here are services, but we'll get to that later. So how do we get the look of my Roblox Studio? Because this has quite a few tools you're going to be using when scripting. Maybe you already know this. In that case, you can just skip this part, I guess. So in my Roblox Studio, probably one of the most important things is the output window. So let's just quickly enable that. As you can see on the left here, I now have an output window. You can drag this to any position you want, but I just have it on the left. As you might also have seen, above that I have the properties window. And I'm just going to drag that over here because that's how I usually have it. And this is going to be used to change all the properties in games. You probably already use this if you're a pretty experienced builder to change, for example, the brick color. With scripting, you can do this by script, but sometimes it's just handy to have it there. Also, if you're going to be GUI building, which you can actually do in the starter GUI, but we'll get to that later too, you're probably going to be wanting to use the property tab. So another thing that I often use is the basic objects. Now basic objects is stacked upon the output. So if I click on here, I have the output window. If I click here, I've got the basic objects window. You can even unpin these windows and you can move them to a different screen, but currently I do not have one, so showing that is kind of useless. So when do I have basic objects enabled? Mostly when I'm just working right here. Let's say I wanted to add another part into Roblox Studio. Then I could just click here on part and I'd be able to insert, but I'm just going to delete that because we do not need that yet. Excuse me for my English, I am Dutch. So now when do I use the output? That would get us to our first script, actually, because this is going to show us all the errors our script are going to make. So let's say the script is failing. Let me quickly close this because it does not need to be here right now. So let's say I had a script that would change the base plate's brick color to red, and I typed something wrong, for example. Then an error would show up here saying, hey, Roblox did not understand what you typed there. And then you can go back into the script and you see, oh hey, I made a typo. Let me change that. Now let's actually get to making our first little script. We're going to go to View, Toolbars, and then Command. So Command lets us make some basic scripts that we can quickly use on Roblox Studio while we're not using an actual game. So let's, for example, go to Game. So game is pretty much your game. So if you were to be referring to your game as a whole, you would start with game inside of a script. Game would be non-capitalized actually. Now after that we'd use a dot. So we're saying, hey, inside of game we're going to want to go to workspace. So we have this workspace, and as you can see right over here we also have a workspace. These two workspaces that we just typed here and that are here are completely the same. We are actually referring to this workspace. This workspace is a service. We also have a bunch of other services, being called players, which stores all the players in game, lighting, which takes care of all the dynamic lighting and other lighting such as the skybox, which is the background you see in Roblox. So if I'm ever referring to the skybox, you now know that that is the skybox. So we also have a bunch of other services, and I will probably get to those later because right now they're still kind of complicated. So let's get back to our first script. Inside of game.workspace, so we're going to go inside, so we're going to add a dot. We want to go to baseplate, because we're actually going to change the baseplate's brick color. So we now are on the baseplate, so what do we say? Hey Roblox, change the color. Well, that's not exactly going to work. We're actually going to have to specify that we want to go to the brick color. And as you can see right over here, brick color has two capitals, both B and C. So you will want to be capitalizing them both. If you do not use a capital, Roblox will not understand what you want to do with it. So this brick color, I want to set it to something, but I can't just say brick color value is red. That would not work. I actually have to put an is character for that to work. Now just red will actually not really work either. Because this is a brick color, we will be using a brick color value. To make a brick color value, we will type brick color dot new. So now, after the brick color dot new, I typed two brackets. Now, inside of those brackets, we want to specify our brick color. But then again, we can't just say red. Because if we go inside of the brick color, we will find that we do not have a color such as red. But what we do have is a bright red. So if we now change this to bright red, and we would press enter to make the command run, you see that our baseplate becomes red. This means that we have successfully launched our first base. Now let's say I did something wrong. Let's say I did not capitalize the C of brick color. Then we would get an error. So what does this error mean? First of all, it says the time, and second of all, it says brick color is not a valid member of part. So the part here is the baseplate. Brick color is not a valid member means that inside of baseplate, it cannot find brick color. That's because the brick color we want to use is with a capital C. Then inside here, it will say what line inside of the script caused the error. So because we used a command, it will just say line 1. Now what's it going to do? It's going to stack end. So stack is the way Lua compiles everything. Basically what this means is it's going to read it from top to bottom down. So stack end would mean that at this line the script would stop working because it crashed. Now if I were to making this with a capital C and I would press enter, you see we successfully did change it like we did before. Now I kind of want to set this back again because the red ignores me. So our old color was medium stone gray. So that's just what we're going to change this to. And there we go. We changed back again. So we now learned the basic of scripting considerably. Well, some of the really basic stuff. What we have learned though is the environment. So I'd say it's time to insert our first script into workspace. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to select workspace in the Explorer, then I'm going to basic objects, and I'm actually going to insert a script. Right now I'm not going to use a local script because that will only work in the player's character and in the player itself. So that would be in the service players. So as you can see, here it says print hello world. What is this gonna do? Well, let's just try out in the command bar, shall we? And as you can see, it now printed hello world. Now, let's say I wanted to test if it would still say hello world when I were to be using a player or have an actual character in game. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to go into Tools, Test, and I'm going to click Play Solo. Or I could have just clicked F6, but I wanted to show you the way I usually do it. And there we are now loaded into Roblox LUA. So as we now see in the output, it printed hello world. We can pretty much change hello world to anything that we want. So that's your first script, though this is really basic. So if you've ever looked inside a script, you've probably seen this. This is actually called a local variable. So what is a local variable going to do? First of all, a variable just holds data. For example, this could also be 75. And that would mean whenever I would refer to hello, for example, if I say print, I don't get why it's working now. Print hello, then it would actually print 75 inside of the output. Now, this is a number value, it's just a number. So we could even make this, well, this big. We can pretty much make this any number we want. But now, we were to be wanting to print some text, weren't we? So to print text, we would need to use an actual string. So let's make this, hi there, I like your hair, because we can. Now, this is going to print, this is what this says, okay, so what this script basically says, hello is, hi there, I like your hair. Now, Lua first reads this, so it knows what hello is. Then it's going to go a line down, it finds nothing. So it's going to go down another line, and there it's going to find print. So what is Roblox thinking? What am I going to print? Well, I'm going to print hello. And because you defined hello previously in here, Lua now knows that hello refers to, hi there, I like your hair. So that's basically what a variable does. It holds data. So why do I use local? Really, right now for no reason at all. But later on I will explain why you should use local in some cases. So, I guess that's been it for this first tutorial. We're actually on 17 minutes, that's way too long already. So we're gonna stop right here. I'll see you in the next part where we'll go further into scripting.